Hi there, my name is Gabriel. I am also known as the Finance Catalyst. I am a Christian, an entrepreneur, and the current facilitator of the program FinTax, where we talk about financial matters. On today's episode of my podcast, I am going to be sharing with you something I have considered very, very important to the financial environment. It's something that is vastly talked about. It's something that you are already familiar with. And it's something that could be quite controversial. But on this episode of my podcast, I'm going to be sharing with you on this subject. You might want to ask me, what is this item, or what is this all about? I'm actually going to be talking about the concept of money. The concept of money. You know, money is very, very important, and it's always very important to pay attention to what money is. And what's your perception of money, and what comes to your mind when you think about money. You know, I keep getting questions, several questions from people. They keep telling me or asking me these questions. Why is it so challenging sometimes for people to get the right opportunities to make money? You know, why is it so challenging sometimes for people to get the right tools that they require to be able to make money? And that's why this episode of my podcast is channeled towards addressing things like this, talking about issues like this. You know, many people struggle to make enough money to meet their financial obligation. It's no news. We hear that in the world today. Most people always look for the right financial opportunities to be able to meet their financial obligations. You know, many people also find it incredibly challenging to stick to a realistic budget, even when they've made some money, you know. And you might want to ask me, why is this the case? Why is this the case? Why is it that people get themselves into this kind of situation? You know, you considering the fact that budgeting, when you're even budgeting, it's just something that has to do with a simple math, you know, just maybe just to add and subtract, multiply and divide numbers, you know. But when you look at it, money problems in itself, it's not just about the mathematical figures, you know. We need to also come to the area of understanding the human psychology around money. Sometimes the human psychology around money makes it even hard for them to make money, you know, because if successful money management were as simple as just being able to add and subtract numbers, multiply and divide numbers, you know, everyone would just be very successful when it comes to their finances, because they could just perform these basic calculations, right, and make sure that they are financially secure. But unfortunately, financial problems stem from much more complex issues than math problems. You know, they are actually rooted in psychological and behavioral deficiencies, like the lack of work ethic, like the lack of discipline when it comes to their finances, like overspending, you know, making unnecessarily expenses, also excessive risk taking in investment. Sometimes it could actually go extreme to the area of maybe greed and this, you know, insatisfiable desire to impress others. You know, these are some of the things that sometimes could make money even difficult for some people to make. You know, these issues are quite common in our human race today, in our environment, and it's even much more difficult for people to be able to get themselves out of this kind of situation. So talking about this kind of things, it's really important to understand first what money is. You know, what's the idea behind money? What's the concept of money? You know, money is a tool, and it responds to either ignorance or intelligence. So you being able to understand what money is the foundation. It forms the basics of how you are able to relate with money. You know, I've considered one of the biggest threats to making and keeping money in our environment today is actually the desire to impress others. You know, we see so many people, you know, this is really important to pay attention to, you know, because the biggest threat to your financial security is the desire to impress others. You've seen out of all the psychological behavioral deficiencies that I mentioned earlier, the most important thing to pay attention to is this particular concept I just talked about, the desire, the strong desire to impress others. Many people are affected by this. Nobody is immune to this kind of desire, but it's important to be very careful about this kind of situation. The popular term they always refer this kind of desire to is keeping up with the Joneses, where you just have that unquenchable desire to want to impress, to go the extra mile, want to impress regardless of the outcome. When you enter such dangerous ground, it becomes a very, very risky situation. When you get in such kind of situation, it becomes a very slippery slope that could actually ruin your finances. So it's very important to pay close attention to this. You don't really necessarily have to impress others. Why do you try so hard to impress other people? It doesn't go well. The sad news is that even if you spend every last penny to impress others, most of these people you are trying to impress may never notice you. Most people don't care about your personal image or what you're doing, or how you live your life to a certain degree. They are more concerned about the kind of impact you make, how your life impacts theirs, and how they are able to see the way you handle things, financially. So it's really, really important that you try as much as possible to systematically build your wealth and create value for yourself. Not just trying to put yourself in a kind of situation where you just want to be able to satisfy yourself in the short run without thinking about the long run. It's really, really important. It's important because I've seen so many people getting themselves in a very bad situation financially. Why? Because they were trying to impress others. You see, they didn't actually want to build from the level that they were and try to increase their wealth or create wealth and value for themselves. Instead, they want to live a life of someone that has actually spent so much time to really get to that level. You see somebody that is not even 20 yet, is not even 25 yet, is not even 30, but he is already trying to live a life of someone that has gotten to a stage where he had to put so much effort, so much discipline into what he or she was doing financially. This is not in any way disputing the fact that you cannot be young and make money. No, it's not. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying here is you have to have structures in place. You have to have systematic structures in place where you take advantage of the opportunities that are around you, but carefully also making sure that you have a right structure where you can be able to improve your finances in such a way that you don't get to ruin yourself financially. This is what I'm trying to say here. So, having said all this, you might want to ask, why is it so important to understand the concept of money? Sometimes it's important to pay attention when it comes to money. I've been practicing financial planning long enough to realize that many, if not most of the people who flaunt aura of success actually have very little wealth and a lot of debt. This is something that is very, very, very important to pay attention to. Those who you can see the truth behind the facade are not so envious of their glamorous image because they know that it comes at a hefty price. So sometimes, often, the hefty price could be seen as the high stress, depression, even failed marriages or poor health. Some things like this happen. It's very, very common in our financial environment today. I've also observed that many of those who even appear to seem that they don't have much are the ones that are actually with all the money, and even less debt and not even stress. They're just doing things and handling things from a more systematic approach and a more clear, structured approach. This is how it should be. Instead of you putting your mind or trying to keep up with the Joneses where you want to impress people, why not just sit down, analyze yourself, know where you are financially, and try to make sure that you make the right financial decisions that will take you from the level that you are financially to a much even greater level. This is very, very important. So that brings me to the area of trying to identify the differences between wealth and owning stuff. Like I said, money is a tool for creating wealth, for building wealth. You can use money to your advantage in a way that you will be able to create wealth, build wealth, and you will be more satisfied with the things that you are doing financially. Because if you are not able to measure your growth financially, how will you be able to know if you are wealthy or not? Money does not really measure wealth. There are other, like I've talked about in one of my podcasts, the dimensions of wealth. You want to go back to that podcast and relieve those nuggets that I shared with you on the dimensions of wealth, the 3 dimensions of wealth. So it's important to understand that money creates value, but for you to be able to create that value, you have to be able to follow the right financial principles in order to be able to create money for yourself and to create value for yourself. There are several opportunities out there, but until you have the foundation, until you have the structures in place, you cannot be able to identify these opportunities and take advantage of them, use them for your advantage. So having said all this, I want to end with on this note. It's always very important to pay attention to the kind of financial advice you get, because sometimes people get too much information and they don't even know how to relate with it. Today you see many people come and they say to you, okay, this is what is trending here, these are the opportunities here and there, these are the opportunities here and there to make money. This is not in any way discarding the fact that you cannot outsource or take advantage of these opportunities, but you have to be really careful with the way some of these opportunities are out there for you. You have to be able to pay attention. You have to be the one to do the work for yourself. No one is going to do it for you. What you have to do is try to identify those opportunities that you know are of more benefit to you. The opportunities that you see that could give you the platform for which you could be able to even create more streams of income or more avenue of incomes. I'm going to be addressing in one of my episodes of my podcast some of these areas you can actually pay close attention to when it comes to making money, some of the opportunities that you can take advantage of. I'm going to be sharing in one of my podcasts on this subject, so just stay glued and anticipate this particular episode. But in summary, I want to make you understand that money in itself is very important, because of course without money, some of the things you want to do, you cannot be able to achieve it. And it's important to also note this, because money, it's a spirit, and it's something that someone can use to his advantage or to his disadvantage. So having the understanding of the concept of money, the ideology around money, your money habit, how do you see money when someone talks to you for the first time about money? How do you relate with it? What's your psychology? I keep asking people, what's your psychology around money? What does your money spending habit looks like? It's really, really important to pay attention to this kind of questions, when it comes to your finances. So having said all this, I hope you were able to benefit from this particular episode. If there's something you want to find out about, if there's a question you have for me, you want to ask me, you can always reach out to me on my social media handle on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm ready to listen and also give my own opinion. Mind you, these opinions are personal opinions, so you don't necessarily have to follow them, but I believe with the level of experience I've had in the financial environment for a while now, I believe some of these things I give you as tips would help you to really make the right financial decisions for yourself, for your career, and also for your family. So until I see you again in my next episode, I want you to stay financially healthy. Always pay attention to your finances. Try as much as possible to limit overspending, and also make sure you are always investing for the future, saving up for the future, investing for the future. These are very, very important things to pay attention to. So until I see you again in my next episode, stay safe and I'll see you next time. Cheers.